Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 to order. Let's please stand and salute our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We do have a full agenda tonight. I do want to thank, as always, Melinda Campbell for her efforts. I want to thank BCA. I also want to thank the Superintendent for accommodating us here at the Arnone tonight. Number one of the agenda, calling of the meeting, which we've established that, and now I need to establish a quorum. Mr. Sullivan, Mr. D'Agostino, here. Mr. Minicello, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Sullivan. The chair is here as well. We have established a quorum. Now we will go to agenda 2, which is the hearing of visitors, and it's my understanding there are no hearing of visitors signed in at this time. So we will go on to agenda 3, which is the consent agenda. It's pretty lengthy. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. Any members want to take anything out of order, or do we want to take it collectively? Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Item G.
Okay. Any other members? Seeing none, Mr. D'Agostino, the floor is yours.
All right. We have a scholarship here, and you know, anytime we have a scholarship come through, you know, it's always nice for us to kind of read that into the record, and this is no different. This is a long-time, former long-time resident of Brockton, and you know, giving back to the community. So this is always something that we should take a moment to talk about. So. The Mary R. Gomes Memorial Scholarship Committee is requesting to be part of the scholarship program at Brockton High School. The name of the scholarship is the Mary R. Gomes Memorial Scholarship. Scholarship was established on September 2021 through the donations and fundraising from the committee members, who consist of Mary R. Gomes, 2 daughters, Mina Soares and Anna Gomes Ford, and her 3 granddaughters, Delina Ford, and I apologize if I don't get the names right, Kaida Ford and Niani Ford. The purpose of this annual scholarship is to provide financial support to Cape Verdean students from Brockton High School. Mary R. Gomes was a longtime resident of Brockton. She was born in Fogo, Cape Verde Islands, and she was known for her generosity to the Cape Verdean community. There would be a total of $3,000 with a $500 award each. The eligibility requirements: candidate is a Cape Verdean Brockton High student who has been accepted to an accredited 4-year college or university. The scholarship award is on the basis of need and merit. The scholarship is for graduating seniors who have demonstrated top-notch qualities of desire, dedication, character, and leadership. Applications can be obtained in your House Guidance Office. Deadline is April 1 for applications. And the point of contact is Ms. Julie Caldwell at the central office. So again, you know, we just want to celebrate for a minute the generosity of, you know, her family, and who took this opportunity to be generous to Brockton students, but also to remember Mary as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments on that? Entertain a motion relative to that?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Minicello, properly seconded by Mr. D'Agostino. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries. We'll now go on to A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I, J, and K. Is there a motion relative to that?
F, H, I, J, and K.
Motion made. Is there a second? Second. So motion made was properly seconded. Let's just read it into the record before we take the formal vote. A, approval of October 23rd, 2021 Emergency School Committee meeting minutes. B, approval of October 19th, 2021 regular school committee meeting minutes. C, acceptance of October 19th, 2021 policy subcommittee meeting minutes. D is the acceptance of October 12th, 2021 security, safety, transportation subcommittee meeting. E, acceptance of October 9, 2021 emergency school committee meeting minutes. F is the acceptance of September 28, 2021 diversity, race, equity, and inclusion subcommittee minutes. H, request for authorization to submit proposals and expenditure of funds. One is coordinated school health services workforce investment grant of $100,000. 2, coordinated relief for school health COVID-19 supplement grant $40,000. 3 is the Financial Literacy Planning and Implementation Grant of $15,000. 4 is the COVID-19 Summer Programming Reimbursement Grant, $48,170. 5 is Food Security Infrastructure Grant, $240,193 even. 6 is School Nutrition Equipment Assistance Grant, $10,787. 7 is the ESSER 3 grant to the Mass DESI, $34,046,089. 8 is the Mass DESI FY 2022 Mass Grad Promising Practices Grant of $75,000. 9 is the Mass Cultural Council STARS Residency Brockton Cultural Council Grant, $11,329. 10 is Safe Water Initiative in Massachusetts, which the acronym is SWIM. Proposal bid, $43,750. 11 is the Special Support Earmark Fund. Code is 195 to Mass DESI, $660,000 even. I is the acceptance of notification of personnel appointments, certified personnel. J is acceptance of notification of personnel appointments, non-certified personnel. And finally, K is acceptance of notification of personnel actions, leaves of absence, resignations, and retirements. We have a motion on the floor. It's properly second. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Hereby carries. We'll now go on to do 4, which is the report of Superintendent of Schools, Mike Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor. So first, we want to recognize the amazing job student did, Jaylene Brandeo, from the Kennedy School, grade 4. Is Jaylene here?
She's right there.
There she is.
There she is.
So I know she was recognized by the mayor's office as well this week. But this is what she did for her family, so we're proud to recognize her tonight. So Jaylene heard her dad yelling. So basically, we want to thank her for her fast action that saved her family. Her parents were overcome by carbon monoxide fumes from a generator they had borrowed for the recent nor'easter that knocked out power. Jaylene heard her dad yelling and ran downstairs to find her family in distress. So she grabbed her dad's iPhone to call 911, but the phone was locked. So with her quick thinking, she was able to hold the phone to her dad's face to unlock it using facial ID, and then she was able to call 911. She took her younger sister to a neighbor's house to get help. First responders came, all family members were transported to a local hospital, and they are all now doing well. So because of her quick thinking and quick action, all of her family is unharmed and doing well, and it's just amazing for a young lady to come through with that kind of pressure, and can't imagine that quick reaction under that kind of pressure. And Jaylene, we are so proud of you, and we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. So thank you for all you did and for your quick action. Amazing. So we're going to come up and we'll take a picture with all the school committee members.
So I just want to follow up. So Jaylene and her sister and mom and dad met in my office the other day. Principal of Kennedy was there as well to honor. Her favorite class is math. Lee's favorite is science. She loves karate. She's excellent at karate. But she is just a champion in our midst, and she's a hero. So we welcome her again tonight.
We can all come to the middle.
Good to see you again. How are you? Really? Right in the
You got
middle
the
here?
picture?
Huh? Jaylene, this is Mike.
Hi. Congratulations. Nice job. There's the mom. Mom can come up.
Hey, what's the principal's in the Kennedy game? She's a Burke. I can't
Oh,
remember. Can't remember.
Camillo. Jolene Camillo. Turn sideways.
Come on in. Come on in. Oh, Mrs. Camillo.
Got us all? Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mike.
That's it. Oh. There you go. Congratulations. Good job.
Congratulations.
Amazing.
Can I take a picture?
Of course. Want us to get in?
Thank you again. Say hi to your sister, okay? All right. Thank you again.
Yeah. Could we, strawberry? Share. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, so next, we're going to bring up Sharon Wolder, our Chief of Student Support Services. So at each school committee meeting, we have been sharing what we've been doing with our 3 focus areas: effective instruction, active reading and writing, and positive relationships. We wanted to show you what those have looked like, and Sue has done that and showed you some presentations with active reading and writing, and some areas of effective instruction, and some workshops and PD that has taken place at all our schools. So it's important to keep our agenda running with our 3 focus areas, and so we wanted to show what our leadership teams have been doing with those areas. But tonight we're going to focus on effective and positive relationships. And so Sharon's here tonight, Chief of Student Support Services, and wants to talk about the things that her office has done in conjunction with, obviously, Sharon oversees our nurses, special education department, all of our adjustment counselors, and our guidance department as well. I'm probably leaving several other things out, but our mentors as well come out. So Sharon's going to present the work that has been going on, some of the work that's been going on with supporting our kids. That obviously a lot of our kids are struggling, coming back from COVID, coming back into school, and we thought, everybody thought, we were out of school for so long, and then everybody was going to come back, and just because we were coming back to school fully in person, that everybody was going to be happy and everything was going to be great. And obviously that's not the case. There's been a lot of struggles coming back to full in-person school, and Sharon and her team have done a great job supporting our students. So Sharon's going to go over some of the things that they're doing tonight. So thank you, Sharon. I'll hand it over to you, and I'll actually shut the lights off so people can see the presentation better.
All right. Is this on? Okay, people can hear me. Good evening, everyone. It's great to come in and talk tonight about this aspect of our focus areas, because it's vital to the work that we do, and without it, none of the other work can be done. As the superintendent said, as the lead for student support services, that includes a number of departments and a lot of work that really does target how do we support our students, help them build healthy relationships. And over the last 2 years, as we all have known, and I've spoke multiple times at school committee about the impact that the pandemic has had on students and families in this community. And as we came back full in person this year, we have seen that some of our students, the anxiety came with them, and because there's a lot of heightened emotion and anxiety connected to it, there have been some situations that we have had to put even more services and support to help our students navigate a world that is still masked, still dealing with COVID, and still trying to figure out from stepping into school a few years ago, having different versions of school over the last few years, and coming back into school. How to really navigate those spaces and do it well. And the adults as well, because when we talk about mental health, we talk about mental health of everyone. And so the importance of relationships is vital, so that people can function with each other, around each other, support each other, and then start to acknowledge those points at which the anxiety is heightening, and so the de-escalation needs to occur. And so our school adjustment counselors are kind of like our emergency staff. They respond immediately to situations in schools, and so when you think of triaging situations, they are points of contact for any principal, any administrator in a school when a student is dysregulated and really struggling. And those relationships that they have with students and families become that much more vital in making sure that kids stay safe, the schools stay safe, and kids get the support that they need. our nurses as well. They are constantly dealing with the impact of what it means to not be well, to have the fear that you're not well because of COVID. That's a huge thing for every single nurse that we have in our district to kind of grapple with and to do it day after day after day. And so making sure we're paying attention to them through our relationships and their mental health is vital as well. Our guidance counselors have to help kids figure out, okay, school looks different for the last couple of years. Now as we're coming back, how do we get you back into that space of learning and focusing on your future goals? And so the team that is doing that work has a new leader, and she is excited about the work, Melissa Shepard. And she's really pushing for some changes that are vital and needed, looking future with what students have to be able to know and do as they move forward. And that means building those relationships with people who have done a job a certain way for so long, and now those things are changing. And so when we're looking at relationships, we have engagement team that at some point I'll have come before you, because kids left school. There were a number of students who just left school. And so that team of people really connecting to students and families and encouraging them to come back, find the right path for them. All of that work really is relationship focused, and without it, we couldn't get it done. So we're gonna take a look primarily tonight, looking at relationships that how do we teach it? Because it's a skill, building skills for relationships. And if you notice across the bottom, one of the things that Kelly Jones, who is the bilingual department chair, or is that her correct title? No, the director of bilingual. When she saw the focus areas, she said, we want to make sure in our communications with families that they're able to read it in their primary languages. And so she made sure that we got our focus areas translated, but just to remind us all of what they are, Sue has gone over them several times, and it is our world of focus on effective instruction, a focus on active reading and writing, and a focus on positive relationships, where we'll focus our conversation tonight. So when we're looking at positive relationships, why are they key? Like I said, the feeling of safety is vital. Everyone needs to feel safe in the spaces that they're in, and to do that, they need to know who you are, how you're interacting with them, and they need to know that you care. So being made to feel welcomed and connected to the environment is vital for learning. To feel those relationships will make you feel like if somebody cares about you, that there's a cultural respect, that you are culturally respected and included throughout your day, throughout the building, and in different relationships that you have or interactions that you have with people inside of the classrooms and outside of the classrooms. It also helps people be willing to take risks. And by taking risks, we're talking about academic risk. We're talking about learning risks for adults. Because when we're saying being culturally respected and culturally relevant in our work, that's a shift in our mindsets and a shift in some of the work that we're doing. People have to feel safe to learn, to change, to adapt. And so those feelings of safety come from how we build relationships and connect with one another. And then they translate into the classrooms, the interactions with adults to students and then students to students. It supports attendance. If you want to go to school, it's oftentimes because you have connected with people who are there and you look forward to getting there. Even if the work is hard, you can still look forward to being in that space. And so it supports attendance, it supports academic achievement, and it's very future focused. When we're talking about what's next for you, it's easier to engage in those conversations if I know you, if I understand your interest, if I've related to you in some way. Those conversations become that much easier to have. And so our relationships, you'll hear in Brockton, we have focused on the CASEL competencies for many years. Our elementary schools have been using the CASEL competencies for at least 10 years. Middle schools have used it. High schools are getting familiar with it. But the CASEL competencies, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning is CASEL. And they've identified 5 competencies. And relationship skills, that building of those relationships is part of what they focus on. How do you communicate? Those are skills you have to develop. How do you engage socially? Skills, again, you have to develop. Sometimes we expect people to know how to do something when they haven't had a chance to learn it. And this makes it deliberate, focusing on things that really say, let's target some skills, let's build up certain skills in these levels, and let's teach students how to do certain things instead of just assume that as they get older, it's automatic. We oftentimes do that. We think someone's a certain age, so they should already know this. If they haven't had a chance to learn it, if they haven't had a chance to practice it, you can't assume that they're going to know it. And so teaching relationship skills has to be explicit. And as I said, everyone in our schools focuses on relationships either by modeling or explicit teaching. And the work of all of the adults in the school really support the learning of our students. And so we're going to start with elementary. And I know Dennis is in here. He's in the back. And as I said, this is really targeting the work that Dennis has done with his department, the health department, taking the tool that we have for lesson planning, our lesson planning template, which is new and introduced by Dr. Zakowicz to the committee before. Now, how do we use that tool to then take the curriculum that we have in health and move that curriculum into that tool? And so that was part of the work that his department really focused on, taking our lessons and developing our lessons using the Brockton High School template. And just as a reminder to you, the template has before instruction, during instruction, and closure. And then it also gives people those things to really double check to make sure these are part of your lesson plan. So on the left-hand side, the things that should be included, and then the space on the right is the space where the teachers can develop those lessons. So in elementary, one of the lessons, getting along with friends. Again, explicit teaching of skills. So you all have been in elementary. You understand what it's like on those little rugs. Do you remember those? Those little squares, and you're like, get away from me, and or you want to be close to somebody, and they're like, get away from me. So all of those things, personal space is one of the areas that they have to work on. And you see there's specific vocabulary in these lessons. And so it talks about healthy peer relationships. It talks about how do you express affection. So these are words that kids are going to also be learning, not only learning what they mean, but then learning how to practice them appropriately, respecting personal space and understanding the boundaries of others, verbal and nonverbal communication. And you see the objectives here are written in adult language. And I know Dr. Zakowicz talked about the objectives being written in student-friendly language. But remember, this is coming from a lesson plan, and so the teacher is writing it for themselves. In the classroom, they would say, I am going to, or this is what I will do, and they'll turn it into language that is more specific so that it's students saying, this is what I will do. But in this particular case, we're looking at the lesson plans of teachers. And so again, the purpose of the lesson, being very specific about that. And you see there's certain verbs underlined because it talks about the actions that students are going to take. And then they have an agenda. And when you're looking at the agenda, you can see, again, talking about boundaries and personal space. There will be things that they have to do. And you see it also involves active reading and writing. And so when we say all three go together, they ultimately do go together. And so there's an active reading of an article, and then they're doing some writing. They're completing a writing assignment that they're also going to practice speaking, so they get to practice those skills with each other in their share-outs with one another. And so when they're putting it in the template, this is just the during instruction section. This is what it could look like using the template that we have for teachers to develop their lesson plans. And looking at middle school, again, building healthy relationships through communication. And I can tell you, you've all been in middle school too. You remember those years. That's a very developmental stage of your life. And friendships end and begin oftentimes in middle school. And sometimes it's very difficult for students to really grapple with those moments that don't go so well. So helping them learn to build those healthy relationships through communication is key. And so the health teachers in all of the schools, and when I'm showing you this is not from a particular school. this is across the district. And so this is where the curriculum looks the same in every school with the health teachers using this curriculum. So building that communication. And so again, you have objectives that are written for the teacher in their plan that they would convert into student-driven objectives. And again, you see there's specific skills that are talking about what they're going to do, where the kids' actions are going to be focused. And then, did I skip it? I might have gone too fast. There we go. And then you have the agenda. So here again, here's the relationship. They're actually taking a relationship survey. So this gives them, the teachers, some a preview into some of the things that they need to know about kids, and give students a chance to really kind of answer questions about what they know about relationships and how to build those important relationships. And then you'll see in this particular lesson, they're also looking at behaviors. What are some of the behaviors that they should look at? What qualifies as a healthy relationship? And so they're really teaching kids, again, vocabulary that's important, demonstrating what it looks like, and then giving them opportunities to practice what they are learning. And here it is in the template. And so as we look through this, we really wanted to focus on what are we teaching, because it is a skill that they are skills that students need to learn, so we need to explicitly teach it. We also need to make sure that we're modeling it through our interactions with others, and helping students model it, practice the skills. So once they learn it, they have a chance to, in that moment, go back and practice what they're actually learning. And then we build on that. We continue to build. If you notice through the curriculum, it's elementary. You see the elementary is connected to getting along with friends. Middle is about those healthy relationships, and high school continues with the building of relationships, because developmentally at different stages, students' relationships change, and so the skills that they need to navigate those relationships also evolve. And so that's how we sustain it. That's how building relationships and the work that we're talking about, focusing on our 3 focus areas, as well as using the tools that have been developed by the district, are combined and are working effectively within the health curriculum and across the district. All right, and at this point, I'll take questions, or I promised Dennis he could answer all your questions. Absolutely.
It's a very important topic. So do we have a curriculum for this already? Do we have like a certain textbook or?
So the Health Smart curriculum is the curriculum that the health department uses. They also use Choose to Be Nice. I don't know if all of you saw on October 21st, we had Unity Day, and all across the district, the elementaries used Choose to Be Nice, and the middle and high schools used Say Something, a curriculum from Sandy Hook, and we really had a deliberate effort to make it a district-wide Unity Day, where our focus was on supporting each other and relationship building. So, and Dennis, do you want to, I don't want to keep putting you on the spot to say anything way back there, but beyond the Health Smart curriculum, was there anything else you wanted to identify?
Sure, just the fact that all of the health teachers in the district went through training during the time of the pandemic, and they're all, they completed training in the Brockton life skills curriculum. So it's a nice addendum, a nice supplement to the Health Smart curriculum as well. So the curriculum is rich, it's really well developed, and we're working our way through that now.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really important topic, and some people, we need to talk to the kids about all of these things, and sometimes it's not done till they get to school. So it's really important that the schools take it on. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, seeing no other questions. If you would like in the future for a curriculum subcommittee meeting for us to come back and give you a deeper dive into the work, we're happy to do so.
Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Sharon, so thank you, and I want to thank Dennis, Sharon. This is just a little bit of what's done, and I'm sure Sharon will come back again and talk about all the curriculum Thank you. Next. Next, we're going to bring up members from the Brockton High School Excellence Team to give us an update. I think they've had a few meetings so far, so is it Angie coming up? Angie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Is it working? Good evening, Mayor Sullivan, Superintendent Mike Thomas, and members of the school committee. My name is Ngozi Onobog, NG. I teach at Brockton High School. I've been there for quite a while. I'm here this evening to give an update on the work of the Brockton High School Excellence Team. The team is 50 members strong, comprising of motivated educators and administrators from different departments. The meetings we've had so far show a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest to get going. Members are eager to give their time and their talents to see to the success of the school and the district. The Excellent Team is divided into 3 sub-teams. Each one is run by an admin and a faculty member as co-facilitators. So those 3 groups. So the first team, the first sub-team is the school environment and culture. The goal of this first sub-team is to improve the school climate for all students. Very, very important at the high school. And the objective is to use data, student, and then other stakeholder input. The school environment and culture is empowered to create and implement SMART goals so that Brockton High School will be safer, more stable, and a stronger environment for learning. And the work of this particular sub-team speaks to DESE's recommendation for the high school to improve school climate for all students. So that's the focus of this subgroup. The second subgroup is Brockton High School Community Connection and Engagement. So the goal of this second sub-team is to ensure that every Brockton High School student is connected and engaged to his, her, their education, and that the educational opportunities focus on effective instruction, active reading and writing, and positive relationships with adults and their peers. The objective of this second sub-team is, again, to use data and then stakeholder input to create and implement SMART goals so that Brockton High School students will exceed grade level expectations, and to ensure that they fully engage the opportunities available to them to connect to the education, to connect to their peers and the school community. The work of this sub-team also addresses DESE's recommendation for students to have equitable access to a range of rigorous learning experiences that are aligned with their ambitions, their interests, and their talents. So that's what the second sub-team is all about. Then the last one, the third sub-team, is the Brockton High School Stakeholder Communication. Now, the goal of this last sub-team is to provide the community with convenient access to information about the school. The objectives, again, is to use stakeholder input to create and implement SMART goals so that our Brockton High School students can fully engage and connect to their education, their peers, and the school community at large. The team will connect existing structure that we have in place, all the communication apparatus that we already have in place, and then use that to communicate to our staff, to our parents, and the stakeholders. This last sub-team will also create concrete, speedy timelines and accountability steps to address the recommendations as they come along. The work of this, the last sub-team will address Brockton High School stakeholder DES's recommendation that Brockton High School provide the school community with timely information about, number one, our students' progress. Number two, to provide the community and all stakeholders with convenient access to information about the school and the district, the performance. It's convenient, it's accessible, and it's timely. That's the work of this group. To kind of wrap things up, BHA's excellent team has been constituted and people are ready to go. Everyone is clear-eyed. Every member is clear-eyed and well aware of the hard work that needs to be done. Nevertheless, team members are pumped up, right? And we are ready to go. We've been there before. I remember the olden times, you know, with the MCAS and all of that stuff, right? Right? Principal Burns, right? So we did the hard work, and it paid off. A literacy objective and all of that, right? So this is challenging work, but members and the administrators and the teachers and team members are ready to do what it takes. We will continue to update the school committee members as we begin to delve into the work at hand. That's it. Thank you.
Angie, thank you for, and please thank and I'll come by and see a meeting just to thank the members and BHS administration and the members of the excellence team for giving their time. And I know it's really important work, and we appreciate the time the members are given and
Thank you.
your
I'll
dedication.
convey
And the
gratitude
dedication.
to the
Thank you.
group. Thank you.
Chairman, did you have a question?
Comment first. I want to thank you for coming tonight and making your presentation, as well as for all of the members of the excellence team. You know, one of the things you said that first, I'm glad to see that you have 50 members, and that everybody is clear-eyed about what needs to be done. I think that's really important. But what's also important, and you mentioned the review and some of the things in there and your focus, but. Yes, this committee is focused on that, and administration's focused on it, and department heads and principals, but also, we need the teachers involved too. And so I'm glad that this group has been formed, and if anything, you guys are the most important part, because you're in the classrooms with the kids, right? I mean, you're the most important part of the work that needs to be done in the district. So I appreciate not only you coming and making this presentation, but everybody who's on that team for the work that they're doing and caring enough to get involved and take a bigger role in what we need to do. So I just wanted to say that, and I'll ask that you can carry that appreciation to the members of your team.
I'll definitely convey the message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Superintendent. I forgot to say, our colleague Joyce Azak actually wasn't feeling well tonight, so if we could just put that in the minutes. I'm sure she's watching us on TV. Hi, Joyce. The next one is D, items to refer to subcommittee. Mr. Vice Chairman, any matters?
I have one pursuant to the presentation that we just saw from Mrs. Walters. She had offered to come to a curriculum committee and do a deeper dive into that curriculum. I think that would be a presentation I know I'd like to see. So I'll get a curriculum subcommittee scheduled so that we can do that. I know we're getting into the holiday season, so I'll look to get that done December 7th, Tuesday the 7th. Is that something everybody could do? Anybody? Do we have other subcommittees that night? Oh. Do you have?
I have something else.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had something on the 7th. Melinda, December 7th, do we have, is that night available for a curriculum? Okay. You know what? I'll call you tomorrow and we'll get that on the calendar. Why don't we do that rather than taking time in the meeting? And then I just want to check with Aldo. Do we have anything coming up that there's any need for a finance? No? Okay. Then that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Mrs. Mendez, please.
I just wanted to announce on December 14th, we have our second part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Oh, right.
And that will be from 5:30 to 8:30, so 3 hours, and it'll be in person. I know we'll get more information, but just to have in our calendars.
Is that going to be in the little theater or? Oh, Central. All right,
Okay.
thank you. Mr. Sullivan, did you have any comments relative to any meetings? Okay. Rodriguez?
We can get an update on busing and everything else that's going on at the high school.
Thank you. Mr. Minicello, any thoughts? Okay. Mr. Sullivan, anything? No. Okay. We'll move on then, and then we can get a date certain. Agenda item 5 is unfinished business. Any matters before us relative to unfinished business? None? We'll go on to new business, and there are 3 subsections of new business, and that would be to the Vice Chair, Mr. D'Agostino, please.
Bid reviews, actually, Mr.
Oh,
Sullivan.
I'm sorry.
That's all
I
right.
gotta wear my cheetahs. I couldn't see it. Mr. Sullivan, please.
On Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021, the bid review subcommittee met on Zoom, ID number 884-936-04671, passcode 730184. And I'll repeat, that meeting was held on Zoom. The meeting was called to order at 5:35 PM. Roll call for quorum was done. We had 100% in attendance, and we had the quorum. Charlie Baker's COVID-19 order was read off. Present was Chair Tim Sullivan, Mark D'Agostino, and Judy Sullivan. Also present was Mike Bandis from Administration and Thomas from BCA. We had one bid before us for fiscal year 2022 design services at various schools. Bid number 22800015. We had a motion to reject that bid because of the scope of the work for the bid was not complete. The motion was made by Mark D'Agostino, seconded by Judy Sullivan. Roll call vote, 100% to reject. Motion was made by Mark D'Agostino to adjourn, seconded by Judy Sullivan. Roll call was taken, 100% voted in the affirmative. Meeting was adjourned at 5:45. I'd like to make a motion that the school committee accepts these minutes as read.
Motion made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments on the motions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. We'll go on to the next matter, please.
All right.
There's one more motion there.
Oh, right.
The bid review subcommittee sends to the full school committee an unfavorable recommendation on this motion. And wants this motion to be rejected by the full school committee.
Formal motion?
Yes.
Right, wants the bid. from
Yeah,
the
wants the
full-
bid to
from
be
the-
rejected.
From the full.
Oh, okay. All right, I see. Okay. Motion to reject the bid as recommended by the bid review subcommittee.
Second.
vote that came out of sub was unfavorable, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you want to ratify that vote. That vote is to be ratified
Okay.
from yes. You want to ratify the vote from subcommittee as such. So a yes would be to confirm the vote of the subcommittee. A no would be to oppose that vote.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to ratify the recommendation of the subcommittee.
Which was to strike down the bid.
reject the
Correct.
bid that was before us.
All right.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. D'Agostino, was probably seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor of that, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries, and it confirms the negative vote from the subcommittee. Thank you. Next matter, please.
Okay, earlier this evening, and I won't ask for a vote on the minutes because they're not available yet. Earlier this evening, the Superintendent Contract Subcommittee met. I gave the Superintendent Evaluation Report and presented that to the committee and the public. And then the subcommittee recommended that the full committee accept the report, as well as the 3.13% score, which translates to a 3.13% increase in pay for the superintendent, retroactive to July 1st of 2021. So that's the first item that we need action on out of that subcommittee.
Motion was made. Is there a second on that? Motion was made by Mr. Minicello, was probably seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Second item from the Superintendent Contract Subcommittee, there was a discussion of extending the superintendent's contract by 2 additional years. Currently, his contract expires in 2025. This extension would take him through June 30th of 2027. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So there was a discussion on that, and there was a motion to move that favorably to the full committee. It was not unanimous. It was a 5 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 opposed. But that does move it forward to the full committee, and so we would need a motion to accept that as well from the full committee.
Entertain a motion. Motion was made by Mr. Minicello. Is there a second on the motion? Motion was made by Mr. Minicello, was properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries.
All right, and then finally, Ms. Asak unfortunately is not feeling well and able to join us, as the mayor said, so she asked me if I would stand in for her relative to the facilities subcommittee meeting that we had. So the facilities subcommittee met, and there was proposed actions in accordance with Section 34 of the City of Brockton Charter, GL Chapter 40, Section 15A, or other applicable law. The Facilities and Planning Subcommittee recommendation with respect to the same. The City of Brockton's acquisition, use for school purposes of property located at 596 Summer Street, Brockton, Mass. B, the school committee's acceptance of the charge, custody, management, and control of such property for school purposes. The transfer of operations of Keith Center from its current location, located at 175 Warren Ave, Brockton, Mass. to 596 Summer Street, Brockton, Mass. And D, the school committee's determination that upon such transfer of operations, the school committee shall no longer need for school or other purposes the property located at 175 Warren Avenue in Brockton. The facilities subcommittee had a discussion on this matter, and a favorable recommendation to the full committee was made, and I do have the correct motion language for this evening. So I guess I'll make the motion to move that the school committee approve to the following actions and determinations in accordance with Section 34 of the City of Brockton Charter, GL Chapter 40, Section 15A, or other applicable law. A, the City of Brockton acquisition and use for school purposes of the property located at 596 Summer Street, Brockton, Mass. B, the school committee's acceptance of the charge, custody, management, and control of such property for school purposes. C, the transfer of operations of the Keith Center from its current location located at 175 Warren Ave, Brockton, Mass. To 596 Summer Street, Brockton, Mass. D, the school committee determination that upon such transfer of operations and after the school department has fully vacated and removed its operations, supplies, equipment, and tangible property from the property at 175 Warren Ave, the school committee shall no longer need 175 Warren Ave for school or other purposes and shall authorize the superintendent to notify the city council of such determination on its behalf. And E, the school committee's authorization entitling the superintendent in his discretion to enter into any written agreement with the current owner of the property located at 596 Summer Street in connection with the school department's use of or access to such property. It is in the form of a motion.
Is there a second on that motion? Second. Motion was made by Mr. D'Agostino, it was probably seconded by Mr. Sullivan. Any comments or questions relative to the motion at hand? Seeing none, we're going to do a roll call vote on this one. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
The chair says yes, it passes.
All right.
No other matters relative to new business. We will go on to number 7, which is executive session, and I do need to read the following into the record, please. School committee will go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. Teamsters Local 653, representing Brockton School Police. The committee will enter executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, for the purpose of conducting strategy with respect to collective bargaining. As conducting this deliberation in an open session would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will, underline, will return to open session following the executive session. I need to entertain a motion to go into executive session, but we will be returning. Is there a motion? Motion made by Mrs. Mendez. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor of going to executive session? Oh, yeah. You are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. I forgot about it. Roll call vote. Mrs. Sullivan.
We'll forgive you for that.
Mr. D'Agostino.
Yes.
Mr. Minicello.
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
Chair says yes, but we will be coming back. I hereby call into official session. We're coming out of executive session again, school committee for the 16th of November 2021. Mr. D'Agostino is vice chair. The floor is yours.
Okay. So, yeah, we have the memorandum of agreement between the Brockton School Committee, Teamsters Local 653, Brockton School Police. The committee just met in executive session to review the differences and the changes from the prior contract to this new contract. This contract has been ratified by the union, and there was definitely some give and take on this, as is the case with all fair contracts. When you get, both sides come with their initial requests and you work towards a fair deal for everybody, and this was no different. I have to say that this is the second time that I've been involved in negotiations with our school police. They are very great to work with, very reasonable, and they do an important job in our district. And so I want to thank their bargaining team for the hard work and that they did. And I want to thank the members of our bargaining team, Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Asak, for their hard work and being involved, as well as the attorneys for both sides. And again, just want to thank the school police for all the work that they do in our district for us, because they are a very important part of the Brockton Public Schools.
Thank you, Mr. D'Agostino. Any questions or comments at this time? If not, I'm going to entertain a motion relative to the matter. Did you make that motion, Tony? Motion was made by Mr. Rodriguez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Mendez. It is a contract, so we will do a roll call vote. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Mr. Minicello? Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
The chair says yes as well. It's confirmed. Now I entertain any other matters before us. Entertain a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Mrs. Mendez, probably second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor?